Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Wildly Thriving podcast. Today's guest is Dr. Juliana King. She's based in Los Angeles, California, and runs a holistic healthcare practice. Over the course of her career, Dr. Juliana has completed thousands of treatments addressing a wide range of conditions, including autoimmune disease, mood disorders, gut issues, hormonal imbalances, you name it, she's done it. She also has a supplement line she launched last year focusing on root cause healing for women called Ava. Blending natural therapies with intuitive guidance, Dr. Juliana's mission is to take patients beyond symptom management and into a space of true vitality and well being. Her work is deeply informed by her own healing journey, nearly a decade navigating an autoimmune illness that conventional medicine failed to resolve. Today, she sees herself as not only a doctor, but as a vision holder, someone who helps her patients reconnect to their highest potential for health, happiness, and wholeness. Thank you, Dr. Juliana. Really appreciate having you on this show.
Thank you so much for having me, Miranda. I'm very happy to be here.
Of course. And I always love to start off with hearing your story because obviously we go through our own suffering in order to become, you know, health coaches or whatever we end up being, doctors, naturopaths, whatever. So if you don't mind, could you share what that journey was like with that autoimmune diagnosis and what that experience was like?
Sure. Yeah, it's we tend to make our life mission out of our pain for most of us, and for mine it was definitely my health. So when I was 20, I mysteriously out of the blue started feeling very fatigued. Like I could barely lift my feet up off the floor. I was napping every 3 hours, and prior I had been running like 6 miles a day and just was like totally filled with energy and feeling amazing. And it just hit like a ton of bricks one day. And I went to the doctor and the doctors just said, "Oh, you just need to sleep more. Like you're a college kid, don't drink alcohol," or whatever it was. And it's like I wasn't even drinking. You know what I mean? I was a pretty healthy kid. And that unfortunately is the experience for a lot of women. Most women experience some version of medical gaslighting in our time using the medical system. And there's been many articles written about it, including a really big one in the New York Times about how women, our pain is not believed, our symptoms are not believed. We tend to be, shooed off. And that was certainly my experience in the world of Western medicine. And I wasn't even diagnosed by a doctor that I like made an appointment with. I ended up dating a guy whose father was a gastroenterologist, and his father, heard how much I was suffering and actually took the time and did an ultrasound on my thyroid and saw that I had all these white blood cells on the thyroid. And that's what an autoimmune disease is. It's when your body is attacking your own tissue. And, there's a lot to be said spiritually for us why your body would attack itself. But yeah, in my case, that attack led to a lot of health problems. It started with energy and then cascaded. Metabolically, when your thyroid slows down, that's like the conductor of the orchestra of your body. And if the conductor is conducting very slowly, everything in the body slows down, and then the issues start to pile up. So I went from just severe fatigue, which was already bad enough, but experienced hair loss. I started having a lot of gut issues. I ended up with SIBO, which is where you're bloating so badly, it's almost like you're pregnant. Like that's how badly your stomach will poof out, which is super, super painful. I ended up with getting cysts in my breast, had PMDD, which is like the very severe form of PMS. I mean, it was like everything, it was like a domino and everything just cascaded. And my ex's father at the time, like he told me it could resolve on its own, which I love that he believed that my body could heal, but it wasn't the best advice because I thought I could just sleep it off and it would just pass. And so I went many years kind of knowing he had given me this diagnosis, but also not really like forgetting that I had that problem and then just wondering why I was watching everyone kind of have these normal lives, and I was sleeping all my entire weekend away. I was calling myself a weekend coma patient and kind of like laughing it off and kind of secretly just thinking there's something just wrong with me. Like everyone else is more motivated and I'm just not trying hard enough is unfortunately the way I decided to see that issue. And it wasn't until things got so bad that I started wondering, like, how could I ever have more responsibility in my life or like become a mother if I can barely get through the day on my own? And so that's when I finally went to a Western doctor and I got the pill, and I was like, now my problem will be solved. I have this pill, I'm going to get better. And then that's that. And I did have this like honeymoon phase with it. I mean, maybe it was 2 weeks. I don't even think it was that long. But for 2 weeks, I was like, oh my God, I feel so much better. And I was so grateful. And I was like, that's it. Like, I'm better now. And then as time went on, I did have a baseline of feeling better, of just being a little less tired and just a little more functional. But my body was inflamed. I mean, my gut was a disaster. My hormones were still all messed up. None of that went anywhere, you know? And then I realized all Western medicine had for me was this pill. So it was the first time where I thought, maybe I need to change my diet, right? That's where it starts, is like, maybe I need to look at my nutrition, right? That's year one, change your diet. And I think people not only uh, start there first, but sometimes they get over focused there, and there's a lot of fear around doing it wrong, and a lot of food fear can kind of come up early in your journey. But to make a long story short, I went from change your diet year one, and it was maybe like year 8 of my journey that was like, oh, there's a huge spiritual problem under year 2 around not loving myself and being so hard on
Mm,
myself and not feeling good enough and all of that stuff, right? But it took me
mm.
years and years and years to finally get to like, maybe there's something really deep in there. So if I can save anyone's time, like if you've got a chronic illness of any kind or an autoimmune disease of any kind, please look under the hood and don't just get lost in like, if I just eat gluten free, it's just that's the beginning, and that's beautiful. And I want you to pour that energy into your and nourishing yourself in the right ways and eating whole, clean foods and cleaning out the toxins in your life. Like all that's beautiful. But also, what are you holding on to? Like, who do you need to forgive? Do you need to forgive yourself? How much are you loving yourself? Those are the things when you pour into yourself at that level, like love into yourself, that's when your body is really going to heal. So, that set me on to my Chinese medicine, studying Chinese medicine for 6 years, and then studying functional medicine, and then studying transformational coaching techniques to help people get to the root cause and the spiritual underpinnings of their illness. Like all of that, selfishly was for me first, so I could heal myself and be a vibrant person that could truly take advantage of having the gift of the life that I have. But then along the way, I've gotten to take those skills and pour them into other people in my community, and spread all that love and teachings that I've learned into other women who've, been sick and needing this kind of support.
Yeah, it truly becomes your passion. I had a similar experience. I didn't have an autoimmune condition, but I had, severe gut issues, IBS-D, SIBO, chronic cystic acne. And you really put the nail on the head there when you said that you wasted 8 years focusing on nutrition, supplementation, maybe even like certain lab testing, whatever you were doing before. It's very physical, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what we tend to neglect and what we don't really fully understand in the conventional space is that spiritual element. And I love that you had that entire journey, right? Like your experience led you to looking into traditional Chinese medicine and understanding that our physical body, like at our core, we are energetic spiritual beings and we need
Yeah.
to nurture that side of us. And if we are actively having thoughts of hatred toward ourself, of course our body is going to start attacking itself because you are attacking yourself with your thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
So if we can reflect on those belief systems and those thoughts that we are having that are facing inwardly, that are not in our best interest, that's when we can begin to heal. And it's a really beautiful thing, hearing that you what took it a step further, right? You didn't just go the functional medicine route and then call it a day. You don't just run labs for people. You went and understood how to actually coach somebody through this. And we talked about this a little bit before we even hopped in the call, how important it is to combine the teachings of, even if it is conventional, right? If we are looking at lab testing, that's great, but it's not a standalone thing. Maybe we can be an expert in herbs or supplementation, but it's not the only thing. It has to be all elements together, because our physical body is like a machine. And if you don't put oil in the car, it's not going to work. If you don't have tires on your car, it's not going to drive. You get what I'm saying? So it's like
Yeah.
these elements of our body, they have a cascading effect on each other, and certain things can compound another. So we were talking a little bit before we even hopped on about how not addressing that spiritual or energetic side of our bodies is kind of like swimming upstream, right? But the minute that we get into alignment with our purpose and we remove all of the beliefs that are holding us back, then we can start to swim with the current. And now we have a boat, and now we have an oar. All of the nutrition, supplementation, all of that stuff is going to help us out a little bit more. But we're not going to get too far if we're constantly swimming across the current. And that's exactly what we're doing here when we are not addressing that spiritual side. Um, I was wondering, I had another interview with a lady that believed in things that you can carry on or carry over from your past life or from other lives. Like your soul kind of has like this imprinting or this energy that it can carry with it. Have you ever considered anything like that? Or have you ever delved into past lives?
I've dabbled.
You dabble?
I've definitely read, some of the big books. I think his name's like Brian Weiss. He's written a bit on past lives, and also like Vedic philosophy coming out of India has a lot to say on this topic. And, one of my spiritual mentors, one of his teachings is that we arrive with our constraints. So like if you have a fear of abandonment, like that's a big thing for you that perhaps you're bringing to work out in this life, your soul's bringing in from like a prior incarnation, or could just be from like the soul form, but I guess kind of the way he teaches is that it comes in from a prior incarnation. Then you will attract parents who will abandon you, or boyfriends that will abandon you. Like you will bring that in, and the point is for you to work that out. So you're going to attract those people in, and on the earth plane, it looks terrible, right? These are people that are hurting you so much, but on the spirit plane, these are the people that love you the most, because these are the people that want you to transcend. And so all the
Mhm.
people in your life that have ever caused you your greatest pain, I can't prove it, but I think it's an empowering belief actually to believe that these people are here to help you work through these things that you've incarnated with. So that's how I prefer to look at it. And then you're just never a victim of anything. And victim consciousness is a huge part of what has you spiritually and emotionally swimming against the stream. The second you get into the energy of choosing what you have, and yeah, choosing, let's say, the parents that you have, that even if they were terrible to you or abusive to you in some way, the second you say, like, yes, I choose to agree to this relationship because it's teaching me something. The second you can get there, boom, it's like you're in that flow. And the second you're not fighting life and you're agreeing to the circumstances present, like that is where the magic of life is. And I've seen that a million times over. I've coached myself into that. I've coached other people into agreeing to be where you are, no matter how painful it is. And then that brings flow state, and then you go. So I guess
Mhm.
long story short, that covered a few topics there, but yeah,
No,
I
I'm in
believe
full
in,
agreement.
yeah, that we do bring in things from other lives, or things from a soul level that to me, it's our school. It's not, we're here to learn something. We're not here to like sit on a cupcake and just like have a nice fluffy time. Like that's sure that sounds fun, but it would only be fun for a minute. You'd be bored out of your mind. Like we want the challenge. We want this, even though your ego mind says like, no, I want things to be easier, and I just want like to get my way or whatever that is. Like the soul is like, I'm here to grow. Like, I want this challenge because I know on the other side of it is like so much freedom, right? Whenever we overcome something, it like opens up this like flow of energy, right? Like, we've all felt that when we kind of like be, stepped into some kind of like victoriousness over something, leaving a bad relationship or yeah, choosing ourselves when it was hard or getting that job that we wanted and we had to work 5 years straight, with that goal in our minds to get it. It's like the second you get there, it's like boosh, you feel all this freedom and it's so beautiful. And we want the hardship, the soul,
Hmm.
we want the struggle. So embrace it.
Exactly. Exactly. And I think that's a big thing that our society is struggling with today, with the whole fat is beautiful. It's one thing to, obviously you're never going to go up to somebody that is overweight and shame them, right? And put them down for being in the circumstance that they're in, because that's another thing as well. I don't know if you've read any of Dolores Cannon's work, but she would help people with past life regressions overcome obesity because
Mm,
in their past life, that person had been sexually traumatized. And as a
right.
defense mechanism, they ended up putting on a lot of weight, right? I don't want to be attractive. I don't want anybody to touch me. I want to hide. So that's a protective thing. And literally, as soon as she did that session, she just started losing weight like insanely. And there's so many stories that are like that. If you've ever watched the movie Heal, there's a lady in
Hmm.
there that shares her experience. You've watched the
Yeah.
movie?
Hmm.
Wonderful. The one with the lady with the brain tumor, and how when she went into the coma, she saw her dad and he forgave her, and he's like, you don't have to feel this shame anymore. And she came out of the coma and the tumor dissolved by itself. Like, there's so many anecdotal evidence of you getting in alignment spiritually and releasing this energy that is blocking you, and you can heal your body that way. And honestly, that should be the main focus, the number one thing that you do. And this is why I push a lot of self-concept work and visualization. I teach my clients
Hmm.
emotional freedom technique, and getting
Awesome. I
them
love that.
to, yes, yes, getting them to feel grounded, connected to nature, connected to the people in their lives, removing the people in their lives that are no longer serving them, having those brave conversations, that they've been avoiding, that are causing them to be in misalignment. It's a huge, huge, huge thing that um, I think is the reason why conventional medicine perpetuates disease, is because it's completely overlooked. And it's like, oh, you have an issue with your appendix, let's cut it out, right? It's so like brutal,
Yeah. Chop it off. Chop
Hmm.
it off. It'll
Yeah.
get better.
Yeah. Oh, you got back pain, let's do surgery immediately, and let's not address inflammation or posture or anything like that. Let's just cut right into it. It's insane. But you were telling me a little bit about the traditional Chinese medicine, and how some people that are having like gut issues are experiencing like spleen chi deficiency. Can you dive
Hmm.
into that a little bit and explain like how the energetic component, like the emotional component, like how we're actually digesting those emotions in our body?
Yeah. So one of my favorite things about Chinese medicine is that the way it describes the way we can connect our emotions to gut health is more clear than in the Western model. Or I think the farthest they go in Western medicine is that stress causes, can contribute to gut issues, right? Just this nebulous concept of stress. But in Chinese medicine, so like the spleen, stomach are the two main organs of digestion, and the spleen is kind of the main one is the spleen. And in Chinese medicine, the spleen metabolizes your food, but also metabolizes your emotions. So if you have a lot of emotions and you have a lot of like mental spinning and thinking, overthinking, so it metabolizes your thoughts as well. So every thought you produce, I mean, there is a physical peptide that is created by each thought that we have. There's a physicality to it scientifically, but we don't really talk about the consequences of that, in the Western model. But in Chinese medicine, they say like all of that requires digestion, the energy of digestion. So if you are overthinking and spinning, of course, you're gonna have gut issues, right? And typically in Chinese medicine, they say more loose stools, but I think especially now with our microbiomes being so messed up, some people will tend towards constipation. And both of these people, part of the diagnosis is a spleen chi deficiency, which is a deficient energy of the spleen due to like overthinking, over processing, lots of emotion, right? But yeah, I mean, every organ in Chinese medicine is connected to an emotion. So like the lungs are grief, like the kidneys is fear. You know, obviously the kidneys, the adrenals sit on the kidneys and pump cortisol, right? And they didn't know
Mhm.
that back then, you know, like they didn't know scientifically that the kidneys make cortisol. But yeah, it's very poetic the way Chinese medicine has developed and like is able to communicate how our emotions affect the body. But that was the first time that I encountered an organized system that explained how emotions affect our health that we're totally missing in Western world. Although now we are getting a little bit into the science of fascia and the nervous system and how our body
Mhm.
stores emotions. And so there is a little more theory being floated around how the fascia can store emotions and that memory is not just central to the brain. It is distributed through the body, which is why, you know, they have these like wild studies where people have received heart transplants. And then when the new person gets the new heart, they have memories of
Yeah.
that didn't occur for their body. It occurred to the original owner of that heart, which is so wild. So now we're starting to see
Mhm.
the peaks of some science to support, you know, that our emotions are stored through the body. But it's cool that Chinese medicine figured it out 2000 years ago without any kind of technology.
And that's why it always goes back to spirituality. You know what I mean? It always goes back to our energetic components. You know what I mean? Like the natives. I think a big reason why they tried, this is a personal opinion of mine and based on the readings that I've done, I think that they intentionally tried to eradicate those people because they held that spiritual knowledge and they were trying to get everybody on the same page with like Catholic belief.
Hmm.
And it was a means of control. They felt that they could not control those people and that they were connected to like an actual true God and a true divine being that was giving them downloads. That's why they would say all these stories of them talking to the trees and, connecting with the plants. Like they um, even used visualization in their, like in a rain dance. They didn't just pray and hope for the rain. They visualized and they saw the rain hitting the ground. And guess what came? The
Hmm.
rain. Like you can literally use your thought energy if you are like bringing forth all of your senses and you are really putting your energy behind it, and especially if you're putting a group together. Joe Dispenza proved that as well. Did you see that?
I did one of his classes, but I know
No
he's
way.
bringing scientists into his trainings now, and they're tracking people's blood markers and doing
Oh,
scans and shrinking tumors and all kinds of stuff.
insane, like literally producing miracles and being able to track it scientifically. So now it's becoming this thing where it's undeniable. We cannot glaze over these things anymore, and we can't just rely solely on scientific studies anymore. And like this, the science-based guys online grind my gears to no extent. It's just like, why are we completely negating anecdotal evidence? Like, what even made you want to do the study in the first place? Anecdotal evidence, right? So,
Yeah.
people's personal experiences is what created the question in the first place. And that's why you conducted the study to see if you could get the result. But they don't understand that most of these studies that they're conducting, they're very expensive. And who is putting these studies on? They're trying to prove a certain end result, right? So, I digress, got off on a tangent there. But I would love to hear more about, the traditional Chinese medicine. I don't think it's talked about enough. I don't think there's enough information out there. Um, is there like a client that you had that maybe had some kind of like GI issues or some kind of health condition, whether it's autoimmune or whatever, and you identified certain things in their energy system that once you address that, their health drastically changed? Is there like anything that comes to mind when I say
Yeah. I
that?
mean, that's the coolest part of the coaching work that I'm doing is in some cases, it's like I'm dealing with people with very severe chronic fatigue from Lyme or mono or these kinds of illnesses that they've had chronically for a long time. And um, to start in on the functional medicine piece, like it depends how people want to flow with me, but it takes 3 weeks from our initial appointment just to get labs back. So we can often do like a month of coaching work before someone even starts in on the functional medicine side of the protocol. And so just doing like 4 coaching sessions in a row with these people with chronic fatigue, they're going from bedridden and like barely able to make it through a workday to doubling their energy and going to the gym. And we just work through the mindset stuff. And a lot of them have like medical trauma from when they're young and like they had sick
Mm-hmm.
parents or they have these things that create a lot of fear in the system. And if you are running in a survival mode of any kind, survival mode or like chronic fear states, if you think about your body like a computer, I mean, how much energy, like how much like I don't know, like when your computer, like the fan's always on, it's just like always hot because you're running so
Mm-hmm.
many programs. Like that's what's happening to the physical body. Like you're running fear or survival mode, which is fight or flight, basically. So it's like a very antsy energy. I mean, if that's rolling in the background of your being, and of course you don't notice it because you've been doing it for 20, 30 years, you're like a lobster in the water. So you're just living like that. That is an enormous suck on your energy. And the second you start to like cut those programs and turn them off, you liberate energy. I mean, you can double your energies by changing your mind. I mean, it really is like that, which is wild. That's honestly, I think, been my favorite part of my work to date is just changing someone's sense of identity and getting someone out of survival mode and teaching people how to trust life. You know, the second you feel like you can lean back and trust life, I mean, that is a body that's relaxed. And when you're relaxed, your body can self-organize and heal. You know, otherwise that fight flight, I mean, you're constantly draining, you know, the energy. So your body is always
Mm-hmm.
trying to help you. Your body is always ready to heal itself. It's always like primed for that. It's always trying, but we block it. And so yeah, I mean, these we're all running programs from a young age of perfectionism and not good enough and like it's all up to me. I have to do everything and care for everyone and like no, you know, like no one's gonna be there, no one's gonna help me, all that kind of energy. And it's like life is always trying to support us, all of us. Life,
Mm-hmm.
divine, universe, source, like however you want to call it, there is an energy that we can all contact that wants to help us, that we can lean into and trust. Just like you don't have to make your heart beat, you know, like your heart literally, from the time you're born, it beats until the time you die. It never takes a break, not once. You know, that's
Mm-hmm.
love, right? Such a beautiful thing. So if your heart can beat every single day without instruction, you breathe every single day without instruction, like that's proof. There is some kind of force moving through us that is like supporting us in this process of life. We don't have to do everything. You know, we're dancing with something, you know, and the second you
Mm-hmm.
realize that you're dancing with something and can just relax into that, I mean, that alone can change your life so drastically.
Mm-hmm. It's the fundamentals, really, truly. And I love that you're doing that work. Like I said, it's not just about labs, it's not just about nutrition, supplementation. All of those things are going to amplify what you're doing when you're grounded and centered.
Yeah,
But it's not, yeah, it's not ever going to be the end all
it's
be all.
yeah, it's not the main answer. And I don't want people to let their power be in a pill, you know, and I say that I, you know, I work with Eva to make these beautiful products for women for digestion and probiotics and immune support. We have some great products that support women in their health, but I don't want you to think that that bottle is like that's gonna like that's your power. That's where you can be okay is this pill. You know, it's us. It's like finding our center. It's learning to trust life, the universe, source. You know, I feel like we don't talk about that enough. You know, there is something there that we're co-creating life with. But yeah, it's like once you get into that level of relaxation and trust, which one of my teachers one of my favorite things he says, I'm a trust fund baby because I trust the universe.
I love that.
And it's like if you could start feeling like you're a trust fund baby, you know what I mean? Just like it's gonna be good. And when things are not quote unquote good, it's because you're learning something. You know what I mean? Like there's a
Mhm.
lesson there. It's like life isn't trying to get you. I used to feel that, when things were really tough, I'd be like, oh, my life like just sucks and like other people's lives are like better and easier than mine. You know what I mean? It's like life's just like
Mhm.
trying to like come for me for some reason, that kind of thinking. Um, but the second you realize like it's all just a lesson and like the universe always wants us to get what we want. But in order to get what we want, we have to be the person that can have those things. And you can't be that person if you're just like sitting in a little thing thinking life's coming for you, right? It's like you have to overcome and learn how to like hold your power and be strong and like feel worthy, and you don't really do that stuff like with life being easy. We got to like have some real challenges to grow that stuff in us. So it's all for our
Mhm.
benefit, all the challenges.
Yeah. Yeah, you really have to challenge those thoughts that you have, even though if it might be like super simple, like something like, I have to work hard in order to be successful in life. Maybe you don't, maybe you can find a career path that really fulfills you and satisfies you, kind of like me and you are doing. Like, I don't feel
Yeah.
like I'm having to work hard. I might work long hours, but by the end of the day, I'm like overjoyed and so full of energy because it's win after win after win when I'm on these coaching calls. I feel my best when I have the most calls, and it's because I'm in alignment with my purpose and what I'm supposed to be actually doing. So when you go to work and you come home and you're exhausted, you're frustrated, you hate your life, it's probably because that's not in alignment with what you're supposed to be doing. So you need to challenge that and lean into that self concept work. And there's so much free information on the internet. Like, even if you aren't in a position to hire somebody like Juliana or myself right now, get on YouTube and learn about what self concept work actually means, what it is, learn about the vagus nerve. Just get started. There's so much information, like we're inundated with it. And I think that we are still struggling with healing because there's so much information out there and we really don't know what path to take forward in order to initiate healing. And then there's also so many distractions. So I get it. I get why most people are feeling stuck right now. But I hope whoever is listening to this right now, this is a good reminder for you that the answers are out there, and there's a ton of people that have been where you're at and want to help you. Like, it really genuinely fills our cup in order to do the work that we do. Um,
Yeah. And this is one of my favorite things to help people orient if they do feel stuck. You're never stuck. You may have a stuck thought, but you are never stuck. And it could be so simple. You could say, I have no idea what I want to do right now. I have no freaking clue. But like that your room is messy and you need to clean your room, then great. That's your next step. Clean your room. And
it's
then when
the
your
subtle,
room's
subtle
clean,
hints.
then the next thing, you know what I mean? It's like you always know that there's some step you can take. It could even be a lingering voice of like, I need to call my mom or something. Then take what's obvious and available to you, like clean your room, call your mom, whatever, but you're never stuck. Just your thoughts are stuck. That's it.
That's so real. And I think those little thoughts that we tend to overlook, they're so meaningful because think about it. Like, if you're just like, oh, I thought about my one friend from, Canada today and, I should reach out, but then you ignore that. That could have been your opportunity. That could have been your way out of your job. Maybe he was actually thinking of you and that he was
Hmm.
waiting for you to reach out. So you need to follow that divine guidance. Those little thoughts are not meaningless. Like, they
Yeah.
really will lead you along your journey. And if you can reflect on your life, you have to think about like the pivotal moments, right? Like, what was that one little thing that completely changed your life and sent you on a totally different trajectory? For me, for example, when I was working at a bar and grill, dead end, making $5 an hour, sexually harassed by my boss and, smoking weed, drinking every night because he was encouraging me to drink. It was just like a very weird situation, but I knew internally, I was like, I need to get out of this. And the whole point for me was to save up money so that I could go to college. I really wanted to go to art school at the time, but it was too expensive. I grew up really poor. So, I had that thought at night and I was like, I really need to get out of here. I want to move to California. But I was like, I just didn't know how it was going to happen. Went to bed that night, came into work the next day. Two Marine Corps recruiters came in for a lunch. It was completely dead and they're the only two people I was serving. So I just sat there and had a conversation with them. And at first I was joking, but I was like, "Hey, can you get me to California?" And they're like, "We have a lot of bases in California." And I was like, "Tell me what I need to do right now." Like my gut just told me that like that was the
Mm.
answer. I
Hmm.
didn't look at any other branch. I said, "I don't care. You're getting me to California. Tell me what I have to do." And that's
Amazing.
those indelible moments, right? It's like when you are sending out that signal, God, what do I need to do? If you're not religious, source, whatever you want to say, call out and say, give me the strength and the wisdom and the opportunities that are going to get me out of the situation. Don't wish for the problem to go away.
That's
You want
right.
to wish for the strength and the opportunity and the next step. That's what you want to hope for and
Yeah.
align with.
And then listen for the weird thing in your gut that you probably don't want to do, but you need to do. Because you'll be like, I don't know what I need to do. And then you'll feel this little thing in your gut that's like, you need to send this email. And
Yeah.
don't be pretending like you don't know. Like, you just don't want to. We always
Hmm.
know our next step. We are never left like in the dark. There's always some little thing. Like, so the big picture could be dark. In fact, I think for your biggest like goals and dreams a lot of times there is a lot of darkness because if you want something great, sometimes like your imagination is honestly lame in comparison to what's available for you. And so it's okay if you don't know. I think it's better that you don't know because I think our little pea brains are actually sell us short. So it's better to like not have the full vision and to just trust that there's something bigger and better for you out there. But you'll still have the little next step something. So it'll be a little feeling of darkness around where you're going, what you're doing, you're feeling around in the dark, but you always have one little ping of something. I don't care if it's getting your socks off the floor. I don't care if it's an email, you're right. It could sound like nothing, but you just follow what you know is there.
Hmm. Hmm. And don't second guess it as well. Like you have to start to build that self-awareness of like what does alignment feel like and what does misalignment feel like? Am I taking this action out of love? Do I feel energized after I do this thing
Hmm.
for this person, or do I feel resentful? That's a big clue. That's how you determine whether or not you're people pleasing or not. When you think of something that you really, really want to do and it feels like fear, but there's excitement behind it, you need to follow that excitement. That fear, beyond that fear, is exactly what you want. But if it feels, if you feel that fear and then you feel like, there's danger behind it, or there's something else that, like, might not be in alignment, or there's a lot of worry there, then okay, maybe let's challenge that a little bit. And if you struggle to, um, you know, maybe you have an issue with self-trust because maybe you've gone through addiction or an eating disorder or something like that that has broken your self-trust. You know what I mean? Like you wake up every day, you say you're going to do one thing and you do another. That is when you absolutely need a coach to interfere and help guide you because
Yeah.
you don't know what your own truth is. So,
Yeah, if you can, I mean, if you do have big dreams and you can get the support, I can't recommend it enough. I mean, I've invested in my own coaching and had guides as well, and they've taken me so much farther than I could ever take myself, and they could see my potential when I couldn't, and that's invaluable. It's really important. And if for some reason that's super out of your wheelhouse financially, then I'm a huge fan of the 12-step world. I mean, in Los Angeles, there's like a 12-step for
mhm,
everything, and they're all free.
yeah.
So if you're like, I have $0 to put towards any of this, just find a 12-step group that can be part of what can bring you forward because there's a lot of inspirational people in those rooms.
Yeah, take the first step. And there's so much education. Like you could get, how much are books these days? $10. You know what I mean? Like there's so much that
Yeah.
we can do. We just limit ourselves with that hopelessness. So the first thing that, my biggest, advice would to just become a radical optimist, radically accept your life and take radical accountability for every single thing. Forgive all of the exes that did you wrong, your parents that did you
Mm-hmm.
wrong. You need to not hold any hatred or resentment towards anybody in your life. That is an energetic block and it will hold you back along your journey. So if you can release all of that gunk out of your system, I'm telling you right now, listeners, you will see a massive change in your health, in your mental clarity, and just the outcomes of your reality. You know what I mean? Like our mental thoughts shape our reality. I was telling you a little bit about all of the synchronicities that were happening for me in my life lately. And it's because I removed a lot of those. People that were causing energetic blocks for me. You know what I mean? I wasn't able
Mm-hmm.
to communicate my truth to them properly. I'm tiptoeing around their emotions. You have to get those people out of your life. And if you can't, you need to set very firm boundaries and just be okay with them being uncomfortable with your truth and you also sitting in the discomfort of them maybe not being okay emotionally for a little bit. But that's their responsibility to deal with. It's not yours.
Yeah, I want to echo the same. I mean, the second I accepted that life is happening for me and not to me, once you get
Mm,
to
mm,
for
mm.
me and that everything is good, including all the people who've betrayed you and done you quote unquote wrong, like the second you realize that was all for your learning and like have gratitude for what you experienced, not that you need to like allow those people back in your life or anything, but for yourself, just take full responsibility for the experience you're having. So many miracles happen. It's wild. And yeah, you've talked about that. And I just want to affirm. I mean, it's like, wow, the amount of things I just sort of vaguely thought this would be nice. And then they just fall like rain in my lap for, months on end because I'm living, from that place of life is happening for me and being grateful for everything. It's a very powerful energy. It's a very healing energy.
And learning how to receive as well. You know what I mean? Like for a long time, I was always very uh I wasn't very generous, right? Like I had to hold
Mm,
on to everything that I had because I had very little.
mm.
So I don't want to share, I don't want to give because I don't know if I'm going to receive it back. But once you learn that you receive twofold what you give, it will come back to you. It will come back to you because you begin to energetically align to receiving and that if I give I'm still okay. Nobody's taking away anything from me, and it doesn't mean that it's going to be absent from me forever. And that was a big learning lesson for me as well. Like I was a good person. I was really honest, but things in my life were not going well. I'm like, why am I so unlucky? And it's because I had a deep belief that um, I was an unlucky person and I had a
Mhm.
lot of negative expectations, enter a raffle and I really hope I win, but I probably won't. That right
Yeah,
there is going to nuke the blessings in your life. You have to expect and believe that you deserve that. And it's not even like you don't even have to feel overly excited. It just should feel peaceful. You should feel grounded with that thought, right? Like, you apply for a job you don't worry. You just know that they're going to call you and that they're going to tell you that you got it, and then you're going to sit in that feeling. Oh, okay, now I have to get my things around. I have to go shopping and get a few new outfits and blah, blah, blah. Like you need to align with the reality that you really want because if you're expecting less, you will get less every time.
absolutely. I mean, that's Tony Robbins. One of his phrases is live lucky, and like he gives everyone, or like you can buy like lucky hats at his all of his workshops because if you think you're lucky, if you feel like you are lucky, you will live a lucky life. It is an
Mhm.
orientation. Whatever we're experiencing on the inside of us is reflected in our outward reality. It's a mirror. So if you want to see a smile in the mirror, who has to smile? Like we do. So you smile, the mirror smiles back. You frown, the mirror is going to frown back. So it's like whatever you're putting out in the world, you get back. So if you walk around feeling like the luckiest person alive, you will receive so many beautiful things because that's your orientation.
Yes, yes. Full agreement. We are super aligned,
Yes,
Juliana. It was
girl.
Yeah, like so many of the things that you're saying, I'm like, yep, 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 that's me.
Yeah,
I
no,
love it.
we're on the same wavelength, and it sounds like
Hmm.
we're both experiencing a lot of the beauty that comes with living from that place. Like I feel very
Hmm.
blessed, and it sounds like we both had similar journeys. We didn't feel that way a long time. I know I did not feel the way I feel now for the majority of my life. It's like only a last handful of years
Hmm.
have I accepted like full responsibility for the reality that I'm creating and orienting myself from that place of like gratitude and trust. And it's transformed my life 180 degrees. It's just so
Hmm.
beautiful. So yeah, it's fun to be on that journey with someone like you and yeah, that you have the same experience.
Yeah, yeah. So if you're listening to this and maybe you're a negative person and you're dealing with a health issue, maybe it's time to consider changing your ways a little bit. Maybe consider reflecting on your belief systems and maybe challenge yourself and, think about maybe are you holding on to a victim mentality? A lot of these belief systems that we have, the programming that we get from childhood creates the reality that we have in adulthood. And that reality that you are experiencing is not something you want. You really, really, truly have to reflect on your thinking because we are examples of when you change your thoughts, you can change your physical health as well as the trajectory of your life. You can wake up every day and feel good and be happy and energized. You don't have to live a life of struggle and sacrifice and pain, essentially. And
Yeah.
I could dive into that as well with like the pain and how you could literally change how you are experiencing pain through breath work, thought processes and visualization. So there's so much you could
Absolutely.
do.
Yeah, and I do want to say some people have very, very complex chronic illness situations. So
Mhm.
I don't want anyone to ever feel like they have to cheerlead themselves out of where they are or like not acknowledge the pain or just like positive poly yourself out of it. There's a way to approach this that's holding where you are with compassion and not like ignoring it or pretending it's not there and
Yes.
still teaching yourself how to get into this state and do this kind of work. So yeah, it can be complex if there's a lot of stuff going on with your health. But I would say the first foot in the door is faith and trust. You know, that's gonna be the like first step that you take is like faith and trust that there is another way to live available for you, and then let things move from there.
Yeah, thank you for saying that because there are a lot of people that are dealing with complex issues and it isn't so simple just to breathe at night and, be able to process through that pain. But it is a technique, it is a tool that you can use that might be very beneficial.
Yeah.
So that's all we're trying to say here is that it's not just one thing that's going to fix you, but we're trying to offer those tools and techniques that can help you in a
Yeah.
time of crisis or severe illness.
Yeah. And truly, there is nothing to fix. Like your soul is perfect. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
We're just trying to realize the most whole state in your physical body, but like you as a being are perfect as you are.
Yes, absolutely. There's nothing that we have to remove from our bodies. There's nothing that we can, there's a something that I was really trying to help with an ex that I had. He really struggled with hating parts of himself, and he would always refer to certain behaviors that he had as character defects. And it's like you can't refer to a behavior that you have as part of yourself and then wish it away or hate it away or try to remove it. Your
Yeah.
body is going to battle you back and it's going to fight to keep that because it's a part of your identity. But if you look at it as simply a behavior that you want to modify, things can be a lot different in that experience. You know what I mean? But he
Yeah.
kept repeating the same pattern over and over again. It was because he was literally trying to remove parts of himself that didn't want to get removed.
Yeah.
So,
Nothing wants to get cut off of you. Everything wants to be loved into wholeness.
yes.
That's the The secret sauce. You gotta love the parts of you that you feel are most unlovable.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Juliana, I hate to cut this off, but that was like one of my favorite interviews. I loved having you on. Where can people find you? Like, do you have a website, social media? Where can they sign up to work with you?
Sure. My website is breakthrough-healing.com, and my Instagram is at Dr. Juliana, Juliana King, Dr. Juliana King. And there's links to book discovery calls if you're interested in working with me. And yeah, it was really great to connect with you today.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being on. And I will link all of her links down below in the caption so you can find her and myself easily. And yeah, thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll catch you on the next show. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
That was awesome. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you. Sorry, I got to run. I'm a little bit over time. I need
Yeah,
to start working on some
perfect time.
programs. I know, right?
Yeah, but it was really fun. Yeah, it's cool. It sounds like we're in very similar phases of life.
Yeah, yeah. I'm excited to check out your supplement line. That's really
Uh,
cool. I like that you have
the I might be able to get some sent your way. I just have to talk to the marketing people, and get it approved effectively. But
yeah, yeah, let me know.
let me,
Yeah, because
yeah,
I
I'll figure it
can I
out.
could shout you out on Instagram after I try them out and
Yeah, the
help you out there
digestive
too.
formula, like you could literally eat almost anything and you don't bloat. It's really crazy. So like if you're
Ooh,
having a splurge meal, it's like bloat free. Just pop one or two of those depending on how crazy you're going, and a bloat experience will await. And then the vaginal health one, you're not going to really notice unless you really have some stuff off there. So I don't know if that's like a interest of yours, but it's really you can't really say what it's for, but it's really more for like fungal type of issues is like where that formula does its best work. And then the
yeah.
immune formula is amazing. Like if you take that every day through the winter, I mean, the likelihood you'll get sick is almost zero. It's just I've literally hung out with people with COVID, like on multi, like I lived with someone with COVID for like 4 days when we were traveling, and I still
Oh
didn't
my
get it.
gosh. I hope you have you ever considered getting on, do you know Emerson Ecologics?
I do. Yeah, it's just we're super small right now, and like we're
Oh.
running a very tight shift, and making super small batches, so we don't have like overhead or things to
Mm,
store. So we're
mm,
starting slowly and we're growing, which is great. But yeah, so eventually we could end up on Emerson or Full Script or those kind of things. But right now, in order to keep things very small, we're starting off on Amazon, which is, I know, not the best, but we know exactly where it's getting shipped from, and then there's no sketchy things happening with like the facilities. I know sometimes there's like temperature
mm.
issues, but it's getting shipped directly from the manufacturer to you. So yeah, and the immune one, and then we have, I don't know if you have any issues with inflammation or endometriosis, PCOS, but there's like a serapeptase formula. I don't know if you know much about serapeptase.
Yeah, 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 I do. I
Okay, yeah, you
usually
do.
put people on a nattokinase and serapeptase
Okay, so it's like a high
formula.
dose serapeptase for people with chronic inflammation and like endometriosis kind of stuff. But we're like marketing it specifically for endo by just
Mm.
calling it endo relief because that you can't really say what these freaking things do. But so we're calling it endo relief for
So
people who have,
annoying.
yeah, like chronic inflammation, endometriosis type stuff to keep that tissue. So. But yeah, I'll talk
Awesome.
to the marketing people and see if we can send you some, and then you just let me know or just text me your address.
Okay. Yeah, I have your number now, so I'll text you
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, text me address and yeah, see if we can get you some complimentary swag.
Complimentary swag. Let's go. I'm so
Uh,
excited. I really appreciate taking the time to do this with me. And I will send you an email with it'll probably be like a Google Drive link so that you can download the full version and you can make any clips out of it as you want. All I ask is that you just tag my page.
yeah,
You don't
yeah, yeah,
have
for
to,
sure.
yeah, you don't have to exactly like collaborate on it if you don't want to, but yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I would tag. Cool. All right. Well, it
Awesome.
was great to get to know you, and I'll see about the swag.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Have a good
All
rest of your
right.
day.
You too. Bye, Miranda.
All right, bye.